We're back with another edition of Turf Talk. Ed DeRosa alongside Vance Hansen as the Kentucky Derby Championship Series winds down the 50-point races, 100-point races coming up. Vance thought this would be a good time sort of in between now that American Pharoah has officially punched his ticket with 70 points or whatever he has. What have you thought of the point scheme in terms of how it chooses the Derby field?
I think it's worked incredibly well. The graded stake system before that, I didn't really have too many issues with that in the past, but obviously people wanted a bit more emphasis on current 3-year-old form rather than the 2-year-old form. So I think it's worked out pretty well. There's still some people that would like, say the Breeders' Cup Juvenile to be worth more points,
Sure.
But now with Texas Red's defection today, it just goes to show that the 3-year-old form probably needs to be emphasized more.
Yeah, and I think Texas Red's defection, earlier when he was first hurt, they did kind of make a stink about the points and, we might not have enough. They didn't mention that this time, but I'd be interested if they'd be tempted to go right to the race if they actually could just get in. If, were graded stakes, that would be the case, or if the juvenile was worth more. And they didn't say that this time, which I applaud. That's the class way to handle it. But I wonder if they thought, well, we're not going to be there for the Santa Anita Derby, but what if they could have just went to the Derby? I think they would have considered it.
I think they would have too, but I'm glad this point system is in place to kind of prevent something like that. You don't want to see a horse that is behind in his training, might not be ready to run the best race that he can at Churchill Downs. You're kind of sacrificing a horse for one race rather than looking ahead long term.
Right.
I think that's in Texas Red's best interest, and I'm glad they're not going to push it.
Sure. Yeah, and full disclosure, obviously, we're owned by Churchill Downs, which also administers the point system for the Derby. But when it came out, I wasn't necessarily critical to points, but I'm with you. I wasn't against the graded stakes earnings. I think they worked fine. One point I always made is everyone knew the score going into the year. You knew what you had to do. That's still the case now. But as it's played out, the one thing I like, in addition to the Breeders' Cup Juveniles and a be-all, end-all, and really you could finish third and be set. Races like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, the Juvenile Fillies Turf, the Delta Princess, anyone with a wild hair and a filly who won a race like that would have been in the Derby. And I definitely like that that's not the case now.
I agree. And, the last two filly winners of the Derby both prepped against male horses and would have gotten into the Derby regardless. Genuine Risk off her third-place finish in the Wood, winning colors off her Santa Anita Derby win. I think it's good that fillies need to be tested against colts before they try them on the first Saturday in May.
Yeah, we almost saw that with Take Charge Brandy, who may have been able to finish second in the Rebel. I doubt she would have beat the other champ, the male champ in this case. But yeah, to me, it's worked out well, or at least it's made sense. There hasn't been any, crazy exclusions by any means, or even close to one, really. But we'll learn more about who gets in this week with the Spiral and the Sunland Derby, and then again, those 100-point races start in 2 weeks. And we're going to close with a new feature, Vance.
Okay.
All right, where it's Turf Talk, but now it's going to be Turf Talk and Collectibles. Had a Twitter user ask about this mug, which, as you can see, has some racetrack stencil down there, some generic horse, and a jockey handle, what I think is glued to the side of it. To me, that seemed like a second edition. I don't think it was manufactured that way. What was your take?
Yeah, I think the Twitter user was asking how much did we think this piece of memorabilia was worth. I went on the low side. I was thinking about $5 or so. It's kind of neat, like you said, that all the nice old tracks are stenciled on there, but it is pretty generic. It would be worth more if those actual track logos or trademarks were on there.
Right.
And just for the record, all those tracks listed on that mug, there's only one that I never went to, and that's Garden State Park.
No, I was about to end and thinking on that. So you've been to Hialeah?
Yes, I went 2 times. Actually, today is the 18th anniversary of my first ever trip to Hialeah. It was opening day 1997, and it was a fantastic St. Patty's Day, in my opinion.
I would say, yeah. Well, I went higher than you. I thought it was worth $15, not because it's any official memorabilia. I'd be surprised if that were handed out at a track somewhere. But I did like the jockey handle, and it seemed made for a left-handed person. Thinking of how you would hold it, it looked like it would face out if you were using your left hand. So Ned Flanders would approve. I think any racing person would love to have a jockey on his or her coffee mug, though. So, Doug, I'm going to say $15. Vance is on the low end with 5, but I think you're safe getting 15 for it. So enjoy that great piece of Americana, enjoy the video, and enjoy us next week.